Welcome, Jane Unchained here with Jane Unchained Live Talk. We have our mascot, Little Rico, and I have my amazing guest, Dave Brett Wasser, who has a 501c3 nonprofit to help you put your money where your mouth is and have your investments align with your values of compassion and kindness. And there is so much exciting news. Really, compassion, veganism is hitting the stock market big time right now. We all know about Beyond Meat's incredible IPO, the most successful initial public offering since the 2008 financial crisis. Now we have more good news about your ability to invest in vegan companies. So, Brett, tell us about your nonprofit, how you really show people how they can engage in cruelty-free investing, stay true to their values while making money, and how you have managed to create lists of all sorts of companies that you want to avoid because they exploit animals and that do not exploit animals and are okay for you to invest in. Take it away.
Sure. I can tell you about this project started a few years ago. I've been investing money for years, but I've been a vegetarian and a vegan for decades. Mm-hmm. And until a few years ago, it never occurred to me that I was investing in companies that are producing the very products that I'm boycotting as a consumer. And ironically, I'm giving those companies even more money on the investment side than I'd ever be giving them on the consumption side. If you own mutual funds, you're giving them a lot more money that way. You're giving it to them indirectly through the mutual fund. So I went online looking for a vegan mutual fund. This was a few years ago, and I was startled to find that no such fund existed. So I took it upon myself. I created this 501c3 nonprofit, Cruelty Free Investing. And we and a few people who helped me, we went through every stock on every major stock exchange in the United States, over 5,000 companies. And we put every company into one of two lists, a list of companies which do exploit animals and a list of companies which do not. So we're saving you the trouble of doing all that research. All you have to do is just go to our website, crueltyfreeinvesting.org. It's investing, I-N-G, and you can simply scroll down the list in alphabetical order, or if you were looking for a specific company, you can put the name of the company or the stock ticker symbol in the search box, or you can scroll down to a specific letter and then scroll for all the companies that start with that letter. And if you click on the name of a company, it'll tell you whether the company does or does not exploit animals. Now, the decision we made sometimes was difficult because some companies indirectly exploit animals. So, for example, like banks or financial services and companies, they don't exploit animals themselves, but they lend money to companies which do. So we made the decision only to flag companies which directly exploit animals. That's why banks and financial services companies would be on the non-exploit list. Now, there are over 5,000 publicly traded companies in the United States. That's down, by the way, if you're curious. It used to be up around 8,000, but then through mergers, it was reduced to about 5,000. And the good news is that about 3/4 of America's publicly traded companies are on our non-exploit list, which means that you can find a very wide selection of companies to invest in. And the research that we've done, the preliminary research, is that the companies on our non-exploit list do just as well as the companies on the exploit list. There's no loss of value. That's obviously a concern of a lot of people. People don't want to lose their investment. They don't want to lose the potential for income through dividends. All of that, at least through our preliminary research, now there's a lot of different ways of researching it, but from what we've done so far, and there will be more research as time goes by, what we've done so far is that there isn't any loss in value. Now, the good news is that a new exchange-traded fund is going to be going on the market on September 10th. It's been created by a London company called Beyond Investing. And what Beyond Investing did is they looked at our non-exploit list, and they created a fund which is similar to our non-exploit list, although they added an additional filter. Their fund is called the Vegan Climate Fund, and they're filtering out companies which exploit animals, and they're filtering out companies which they feel exploit the environment and contribute to climate change. So they're going a step further than we're going. We could have done that on our website as well, but we felt that we wanted to limit the research only to the companies which do or do not exploit animals. Now, the good thing about an exchange-traded fund is that if you don't want to pick out the stocks yourself, it's easier to just buy shares in a mutual fund or an exchange-traded fund and let the manager of the fund do it. The exchange-traded fund is essentially intended to mirror the progress of all of the companies on our non-exploit list with that additional filter. And their Beyond Investing has done research and going back 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and their fund does just as well as the rest of the market. So you can invest ethically without worrying that you're going to lose your money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here with Dave Brett Wasser, who is the head of a 501c3 nonprofit called Cruelty Free Investing.org. That's where you go.
That's right.
CrueltyFreeInvesting.org. If you see me looking down, it is because I am encouraging other people to share this video, which I urge you to do. Share this video right now. And also, I am encouraging you to go to crueltyfreeinvesting.org. I have to say a couple of things, and the couple of things I'm saying, one, this is not any particular suggestion that Jane Unchained is giving to anybody about what to do with their money. So don't hold us responsible. And the second thing I want to say is that the most important thing you can do is share this video, because if you share this video, somebody who might be about to buy a really cruel company and support that might stop and go, oh my gosh, because this is the game changer as far as I can see. The game changer is when the smart money starts following cruelty-free companies. I mean, we saw that with Beyond Meat. The most successful initial public offering since 2008. Can you address what Beyond Meat's success has done for the vegan community as it's perceived by the financial world?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that people see the potential for growth in that company. I mean, you look at the arc of where vegan meat has been and where it's going. I mean, I remember when in the 1990s, it was hard to find vegetarian burgers in restaurants. Most restaurants didn't offer them. Now almost every restaurant does. And there's a lot of confidence in this one particular company, Beyond Meat, because their product is so good. It shows that not just vegetarians, but meat eaters believe that there's so much potential for growth in this company. I want to echo what Jane said, by the way. We know that, I know that many vegans and vegetarians don't have any money to invest. Plenty do have money to invest, some do not. Even if you don't have money to invest, you can help our project by simply spreading the word about it. Just post a link on social media to crueltyfreeinvesting.org. That would mean so much to us because we don't have an advertising budget. The only way we can reach people is through word of mouth. And there's so much potential here. I mean, think about it this way. Tyson Foods is actually not just America's biggest meat producer, it's the world's biggest meat producer. If Tyson Foods had a choice of having you be a consumer of their product, chicken, or an investor in their company, which do you think they would choose? They would choose having you be an investor because you're giving them more money on that side. And I think this is perhaps a blind spot for many vegans and vegetarians. It was for me for years. I'm embarrassed to admit that for years I put my money into mutual funds, which bought stock in the very companies which I hate. If you own a mutual fund, every year you get a thick booklet. You get a thin booklet quarterly, which tells you about the progress of the mutual fund, how well it does compared to benchmarks. And once a year you get a thick booklet which lists all the stocks which the mutual fund is invested in. And that list changes from year to year because the manager can choose to get in or get out of any stock. What most people do, and what everybody does, they simply open the booklet, they look at the first page, and they see how well the mutual fund has done over the past year. And if the mutual fund has done, how well the mutual fund has done compared to benchmarks, similar mutual funds, or wider index. And hardly anyone looks at the list of companies that are actually invested in. People just don't want to bother with that. I certainly didn't for years. And I can understand why you won't, because it takes a lot of time and effort to look at all these lists and to evaluate each company. The good thing about our website is that we've done the research for you. So you don't have to research each of these companies. All you have to do is go down the list and check to see whether a company is on one side or the other. We make it easy. Look, it took us months to do all this research. We can't expect each individual to do it. So the list is there. And let me also talk about a few other features of this website. there is a list, a shorter list of about half a dozen financial advisors who are specifically care about this issue, who have lots of vegan clients and who can easily tailor a portfolio of stocks around our non-exploit list. So if you don't want to buy into this exchange-traded fund, you can hire one of these financial advisors and they can help you create a portfolio. Another feature of our website is we have the list of the 10 worst companies in America. These are the 10 companies which we feel exploit the most number of animals. So at the very least, if you're not going to avoid investing in all the companies which exploit animals, at least you can avoid investing in those 10.
Now, can you speak up a little bit? And I know you're a big expert. Somebody said, slow down because they're trying to absorb all this information.
Sorry, I talk fast.
No, it's okay. Like I find this all the time that people who want to buy cruelty-free companies and invest in cruelty-free companies, they really don't know this subject. I mean, you could study this subject for decades and not be an expert. Here's the bottom line. We don't want to give our money to people or companies that exploit animals. I personally have been switching out people I use and give money to on a regular basis. My hairdresser, I found a vegan hairdresser. I found a vegan handyman. Happens to be her boyfriend, but he's a great handyman and she's a great hairdresser. So it's called the vegonomy. This is something that's new, that's popping up, and it is called the vegonomy because when we trade our money amongst ourselves, we are going to then increase in power. It's like Vegan Nation. There is a new cryptocurrency called Vegan Nation. There's other vegan cryptocurrencies that are coming up. So what's really interesting is that there are all sorts of new financial vehicles that you can avail yourself of. And again, we're not recommending any particular one, but check it out. I mean, for decades, people have come up to me knowing that I am somebody who's into veganism and say, oh my gosh, and now I have a 401k and I don't know what to do, and my broker is not a vegan and they don't understand. So
Jane, your broker doesn't have to be a vegan. All your broker has to do is just look at our website, crueltyfreeinvesting.org, and just pick stocks from the non-exploit list. If you give your broker that instruction, the broker doesn't have to be vegan. Broker has to follow your instructions though. And that's why we make it so easy for anybody to do it, including for financial advisors. Hold
on. This is another good question. Celia Acevedo says, once I choose a company, how do I invest? I am a total novice. Thank you. Well, again, I am certainly not giving any financial advice. Please, disclaimer. But let's say you went to this VEGN in September. So what you do is you open an account. You can use a broker who's, basically your old-fashioned kind of broker, or you can just be your own broker.
You can go through Charles Schwab or any of these companies on the web, and you can buy it directly through the web.
Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Fidelity. You literally open an account. Some of them have very low threshold for opening an account. Sometimes you can open an account for $200. So you build it slowly, and let's say you had $500. You open an account. You decide, I'm going to put $500 in, and I'm using this as an example, Beyond Meat, or this ETF, Exchange Traded Fund, VEGN, that debuts in September 10th. I'm certainly going to mark it on my calendar because this is a hot sector right now. And you saw what happened with Beyond Meat. I can't tell you how many people came up to me and said, oh, I was planning on buying Beyond Meat, but as soon as it opened, it shot up so high, I could no longer really afford to buy it. So, and of course,
I could afford it, but I thought it had gone up so high it couldn't go up anymore. And then it did.
And it really hurt the short sellers. Those carnivore short sellers who were like, "This is never going to go anywhere," and it just boom. Even when the stock market collapsed just the other day, I'll keep it general because this is evergreen. Beyond Meat stock did not drop precipitously. So, there's what you do. You open up an account and you become your own broker. Why give a middleman money?
Well, there is an advantage to giving the middleman money because then, if you don't have confidence in what you're doing, it's good to have somebody else advising you. It's somebody you trust. somebody who has your best interest in mind. You know, all these financial advisors are something what's known as fiduciary responsibility. And according to their training, they have to take your best interest into account. Now, of course, in any field, there are always a few crooks in any field. There are some lawyers who are crooks, there's some doctors who are crooks, there's a businessman, and there's some financial advisors who are crooks. So you have to be careful and pick somebody that you can trust.
But my feeling is, I mean, if you're going to be really specific, okay, and I'll just say personally, my family had a very bad experience with a broker from a very big firm that is now out of business. Went out during the 2008 financial crisis.
You can mention Lehman Brothers.
Well, I don't know, you know, whatever. But in any case, I just was like, I'm not. If this person was so smart, they wouldn't be sitting in that cubicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an anomaly, though.
And
I think it's
but in any case, what I decided to do is just get one of these accounts and try to do my own research.
Yeah.
Now the fact that this gentleman and his nonprofit is doing all this research for you is astounding. I mean, this is months of work at your fingertips, and all you have to do is go to crueltyfreeinvesting.org. It's a 501c3, and it gives you information. Again, now Tom wants to know, can you tell us what vegan stock will be a good investment? Now
I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
Because it's not my job to recommend a particular stock. It's my job to provide information to help you make better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not my place. Look, to recommend stocks, you have to actually be registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. You have to have the training to do that, which I don't have. All we're doing is providing information so that you can make a better choice.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is that some people throw up their hands and say, well, I've got to invest in something. I'll just get a mutual fund and close my eyes and look the other way.
Yeah, I did that for years.
You know, that's when you end up investing in cruelty-free, cruel companies. Cruel companies.
Right.
So now there's so many questions popping up here because this is kind of an arcane issue for a lot of people. One of the ones they said was, here it is. Where can we find that list? So tell us.
Okay, you go to crueltyfreeinvesting.org and you just scroll down and start. The list actually starts right there in the middle of the page. Okay, I'll speak up. And it's all in alphabetical order. Now, if you want to look for, let's say you want to look for a company that starts with the letter F. You just there's a column of letters on that left-hand side. It starts A through Z. Click on the letter F, and then you'll see all of the companies on both the exploit and non-exploit list, which start with the letter F, and you can scroll down to the company that you're curious about. Click on the name of the company, and it'll say how they exploit animals. And our research team, actually, if we could find news articles about how the company uses animals, we offered a link to that article. So you can research it that way.
All right, so now, some people are saying, well, what about environmentally conscious companies? Now, I want to say something because when I researched this, in fact, I was talking to somebody who was doing something similar to yours, but they were just sort of talking about environmental companies. A lot of so-called environmental companies and organizations do not care a whit about animals. And in fact, they can be very involved in the exploitation of animals. So to me, they're faux environmental companies.
Environmentalists care about the species as a whole, but not the individual members of the species.
And sometimes they don't even care about the species. I mean, I can't tell you how many environmental events that I've gone to, so-called environmental events where they're serving pork and chicken.
That's right.
And, you know, I call them out respectfully, trying to hold them up to a higher standard because animal agriculture is destroying this planet. And you can make a very strong argument that it is the leading cause of climate change. It is certainly responsible for more greenhouse gases than all transportation combined. It is certainly the leading cause of habitat destruction, wildlife extinction, not to mention human disease and human world hunger. So beware of groups that say, well, we're environmentally conscious fund. It's a very big difference from saying we're a fund or a nonprofit or an ETF or whatever that is vegan. So a couple of questions have been asked here that said, what about like actual vegan products, like, not just, let's say, a giant household name product that happens to be accidentally vegan. Let's say, I don't know if they are, but I would think they might be, like a Planters Peanuts type company. They didn't say, we're going to be a vegan company. They they make peanuts, which last time I checked is vegan. Now, I haven't checked their entire ingredient list, so don't quote me. But what I'm trying to say is, do you focus more on those big companies that happen to not exploit animals, or are there smaller companies like, are there more, not that they're small anymore, they have they're bigger than a lot of companies that have been around for decades, but like a Beyond Meat that is specifically a vegan company, are there more of them coming on to stock exchanges that can be traded?
Oh yeah, there are. And
like what?
Oh gosh, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of the names, but there's more of that. And let me explain one of the ironies of this